this to make money. So, look, guys, what I'm going to share with you guys today is obviously has nothing to do with trading, but primarily just about Bitcoin mining. But more importantly, a pretty good kind of way to get involved in Bitcoin mining without having to know pretty much anything, which is, for me, was ideal. So how this all came about was actually a little while ago. I've been in and around the crypto space for a very long time now. I've always been a trader, and I've made a pretty significant amount of money from that. It's given me the ability to kind of live the life that I want, along with owning multiple traditional businesses. And I knew that trading was always a great way to earn income. But in trading, you've got three market cycles. You've what's got called a bull market, which is when everything's going up and it's pretty easy. You've got what's called a bear market when everything's going down and it's a little bit trickier. And then you've always got a consolidation or a sideways period. Now, trading in a bull market is phenomenal, but for the last sort of 8 months, we've been very much in a bearish market where we've seen cryptocurrency go from having a overall market cap of close to $1 trillion to getting as low as $220 million. So we've had huge liquidity problems. We've had challenges where, there's a bit of a scarcity type mindset, but this is also where I believe the most opportunity and the most money is made. Now, as a trader, trading a bear market is always a lot more high risk. So I just become obsessed with the idea of mining and earning Bitcoin, whether the market was bullish, bearish, or sideways. So for me, it was always a little bit tricky because I'm not the smartest guy on the planet. I'm not a computer tech programmer savvy guy. I grew up in housing commission in the western suburbs of Sydney. I'm just not a tech guy. And for me, mining always sounded like you needed to be either A, highly intelligent to do, or secondly, extremely liquid capital and have the access and resources to be able to do it. So what I did was I understood very, very early on that I needed to find the people who were doing this in a very big way, finding people that would give me an opportunity to align with them and work with them. So as I was going through this process and reaching out and finding people, I actually come across a gentleman by the name of Gene Lay. Now, Gene is an extremely successful guy. I was just over in Malaysia with him, and before that we were in Iceland together. And he's been in and around Bitcoin mining for an extremely long time. And when I reached out to Gene and we started talking, he was telling me about his operation over in Iceland. Now, when he first told me, I actually I offended him and told him he was full of shit, simply because what he told me that he was doing was just so big, but he was also so casual about it. It just didn't kind of make sense to me. So I'll share my screen just so I can show you guys. So what happened was Gene actually said, well, if you think I'm telling fibs, why don't you come over to Iceland and check out what we're doing? So Gene actually brought me over to Iceland. So this is Gene just here. And like I said, he's worth a couple of $100 million, extremely successful, and just knows Bitcoin mining. And the reason why he took me over to Iceland was he wanted to introduce me to this man here. Now, this man's name is Joe, and Joe is the founder and creator of our Bitcoin mining pool. Now, the thing that I liked about Joe and Gene was, although they were extremely wealthy, they were incredibly, incredibly humble and more than willing to be extremely transparent about what they were doing. So we had dinner that night, and then the very next day they took me to inspect their facility in Iceland. So this is our mining facility in Iceland, and this is in one of the largest data centers on the planet. This data center, it is one of the largest, but it's an ex-NATO base in the heart of Iceland. The reason why it's so significant is, one, it's the same data center that the Rothschilds keep their data in, so it's extremely secure. It's very protected and very safe. But the reason why mining Bitcoin in Iceland is so important is two reasons. One, it is the third coldest place on the planet, but it is the most inhibited. Now, why is being cold important? Bitcoin mining infrastructure, it needs to be cool to be profitable. So I understood this. This is why I also knew that mining Bitcoin and creating my own facility in Australia simply would never work. The second thing that makes this data center extremely profitable is in Iceland, there is a lot of renewable energy sources. So electricity prices are extremely, extremely cheap. So in this facility, there's actually 7 bays long, and I think in this facility alone, we have about 40,000 Antminers. So we just suck in cold air from the outside and push it in, so there's no air conditioning costs. We've just got big whirlybirds on the top, and this makes the facility extremely, extremely profitable. These are the machines that are in there, and these are the machines that actually mine the Bitcoin. Now, the good thing when I was in Iceland, not only did I meet Joe and Gene, but they introduced me to this gentleman here. Now, this gentleman's name is Yoshi. Yoshi owns a company called Bitmain. Now, if you look into Bitmain last year did $4 billion in revenue. Bitmain are the creators of the Antminers. So he owns the company that actually manufactures the equipment that is required to mine Bitcoin. Now, why is any of this important? Yoshi is responsible for maintaining and keeping our data center profitable. So when people invest into our pool, they've got 2 things going for them. One, we're in the most efficient, most cost-effective data center on the planet. But secondly, we have the founder of a billion-dollar company whose sole responsibility is making and maintaining the infrastructure that makes us profitable. So this is, I don't know if you're able to hear this, but this is the actual mine. It sounds like a jumbo jet taking off. And you literally cannot hear yourself speak. It's incredible. So when I got shown this and I understood a couple of things, one was that the smartest person on the planet with the most credibility who creates the hardware that's required for us was part of our core team. For me, that the owners and meet the founders, and they showed me what they're doing, are completely transparent. Now, one thing that I like about blockchain and that I truly like about Bitcoin is we have what's called the blockchain. Now, the blockchain is completely transparent. It can't be fudged. It can't be made up. And it can't be tampered with. It is simply computers processing data, and then that data is transparent. This is why Bitcoin and blockchain transactions are the future. Now, who's ever had a scenario where you wanted to send money to someone and then they've said, oh no, mate, I've sent the money here, I'll send you a remittance. How easy is it to forge a remittance? And then you go, oh, okay, no, money's on the way, it's all good. See, with blockchain, if I send you Bitcoin and you say, well, mate, what wallet did you send it to? You can come to a third-party site like blockchain and verify it for yourself. And all you would have to do is put in the transaction, and then from here, you would be able to track it. Now, this website, it's a third-party website, but what's important here is understanding when I tell you that we are mining Bitcoin, I can show you photos, I can show you a data center, but the big question that most people say is, well, how do I know that this is legitimate? The simple facts are you can check this and verify it for yourself. So if you have a look on the blockchain website, what you want to look at is the hash rate. Now, the hash rate distribution, hashing power is pretty much processing power for verifying transactions, okay? So the more computers you have, the more transactions you can verify. And the way blockchain works and the way Bitcoin mining works, for every transaction that you process, it contributes towards going towards a reward, and you get paid out in Bitcoin. So when we look at this, these are all the miners in the world that are doing it on a kind of big scale. Now, BTC.com, Unknown, and Viapool are pretty big, but this one here is the one that's important. This is Antpool. Now, Antpool are responsible for 12.6% of all the mining power in the world. Now, Antpool is actually owned by Bitmain. So one of the things that people always say to me, they're like, well, if Yoshi has one of the largest mining pools in the world, why would he work for you guys and help you guys and run your data center. The simple fact is Yoshi also understands clone pools, because then it will become a centralized economy, which goes against everything that we're trying to do. So when you're looking on blockchain, what you want to look at is who are getting block reward. Understand the transparency of this. Now, if we go through all of these guys, you'll see BTC.com is the biggest, and they've earned 109 block rewards. Ant pool at 74. And if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right now, and this website updates every 20 minutes, our pool is the 8th largest. In the last 24 hours, we've mined 15 blocks. So what does that look like? A block reward is simply this. Once we've processed enough transactions, this block reward will be given to us. Now, every single block can be, again, broken down and followed completely transparently. So this one, it happened at 1752. This was the time it was received. This is who received it. This was the difficulty. But what's most important is the block reward. So as you'll see, our operation for this block was rewarded 12.5 Bitcoin. Now let's have a think about this in money. So if we've done 15 blocks in the last 24 hours, that means that we've received 15 block rewards, which means we've mined 187 Bitcoin the last 24 hours. So if we have a look at what that means in money, in the last 24 hours, we have made $1.9 million. So as you can see, just based on pure numbers, we're kind of a big deal. We're doing on average about $2 million a day. Now, the cool thing about that is you can also check how long we've been doing this by simply checking the hash here. And the big thing that you want to make sure when you are doing your due diligence on this is whenever you're looking at a block reward, you'll see that these were newly generated coins, okay? So this 12.5 BTC were newly generated coins, and this is our address. And if you click this address, you will see we've now mined 70 in total. So again, if you wanted to break that down into numbers, there's one too many zeros there. Over the last 4 years, we have mined, that doesn't work, $765 million worth of Bitcoin. So we're very close to becoming a $1 billion what we're doing at the moment is we're about to increase our petahash 15 blocks a day to 30. Now, why is that relevant to you? In opening the new data center opens up the ability to create more contracts. So how it works right now is very, very simple. We are the only mining operation in the kind of top 50 mining operations in the world that allow outside people to invest small amounts to very, very large amounts to take a piece of the pie. And how that works is very, very simple. Let's say you said, okay, Michael, this is good. You've obviously got a good operation. I can see it's transparent. It's very open and honest. I can verify that everything that you've just said is correct. I now want to get involved. Getting involved is very simple as when you say, Michael, I want to participate, we simply work out what kind of contribution you want to make, and then you buy contracts that last 1,000 days. So let's say you said, Michael, I want to put in $100,000. It would take, on average, about 8 to 12 months for you to make back that $100,000 that you initially put in. Now, 8 to 12 months to ROI, it sounds like a really long time. However, what you need to understand is what we do that's very different to anyone else is we set up a reinvest to make sure that you always have new equipment, that you're constantly buying more contracts. So by the time you've ROI'd your initial investment, by the time that 8 months comes around, you've actually bought more contracts without ever even realizing. So how that works is really simple. For every contract that you buy, a contract costs $3,500 USD. Now, as you'll see here, total shares and then total earnings, but then here there's a repurchase setup. So 50% of every 50% of all the Bitcoin that's mined out of this pool, and 40% of this and 30% of this is taken away every single day and reinvested to make sure that you're buying more equipment. Now, every single day, you will get paid your Bitcoin every 24 hours as the block rewards come out. And you can see here completely transparently, here's the payments for the 31st, the 30th, the 29th, the 28th, and there's pages and pages and pages of this data, okay? And this money is in my wallet, and I have the ability to send this or hold it here. I can keep this money on this platform or send it to my own wallet. It is completely up to you. You're in control of your money. But this is half of what you've actually earned. So what that means is by the time that you've actually ROI'd and made your initial capital back, you have also reinvested the same amount. So now you are mining at 100% more than what you were in the first 8 months. Now, why is that important? By years 2 and 3, you will actually have repurchased enough. So by the end of your 1,000-day term, you will make anywhere from 5 to 8 times your initial investment. Your first contract will cease to run anymore. However, you would have repurchased about 4.3 more contracts, and now you're mining at 400% more capacity than you were in year 1. So what we're doing is very simple. It is very easy. It creates a scenario where someone who doesn't understand blockchain, who doesn't understand mining, who just wants to set up a very simple passive income stream over the next 1,000 days, and then forever until you decide that you don't want that money anymore. And it's very much a set and forget type scenario. And the reason why I like this is because we really underpromise and over-deliver. Most mining operations don't last 12 months because they tell people that they'll ROI them in 4 months, and then they go broke paying out money that they never had from contracts that they never installed the infrastructure. With us, it's very simple. It will take me 5 minutes to set up your contracts today. However, it takes 30 days to install your infrastructure. So when you join today, on the 2nd of next month, you will start getting your first payments, and they will come every 24 hours from now until infinity, and then it will take 8 months from that day to return on your investment. So that is it in a nutshell. Like I said, it's very simple, it's very easy. I'm happy to answer any questions, and that's really what we're doing.
Are we unmuted or not? Yeah.
I think I've muted you all. 1 second. Sorry, you can now bring yourself off mute if you have a...
Yeah, cheers. That was fantastic, Mike.
Kathy, you still there? Can you hear me?
Graham?
Okay.
How's that? Can you hear me as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, mate. Fantastic. There's great information there.
Still there? All right, and Kath?
Yes, mate, I still am.
I'm not sure if Kath's still there. Kathy? Looks like she's still there. Kath, can you unmute your microphone? So guys, just that was very good, Michael. Thank you for that. Just to take a step back, and I know some of you, especially Jason, knows about this, that they're searching for algorithms to create Bitcoin, new coins, and when they create those, they get rewarded with a percentage of Bitcoin. Why I think everyone should have some of this, at whatever level they want, is as like Michael said, is the set and forget. And it's very conservative in this field from the point of view that part of the coins that are created or put into a reserve that ensures that you don't have to dip in your pocket ever again to invest in the latest technology, the latest computers, the latest mining equipment. And as Michael said, once you're in, it can go on for infinity, basically. And you're looking at, I tell people 8 to 12 months to get return of your capital, not that you'll necessarily be taking it. And then after that, you're in profit. And I normally tell people, target is, if you can end up with, because you get the money in coin, right? So if you put in and you got 3 times, then let's say you invested roughly the current price of a Bitcoin, and you ended up 1,000 days with 3 Bitcoin, we're talking about a return on the current price of Bitcoin. However, some people believe, some experts believe, when the institutions come in, and especially, that's probably great. You want to go and sell a
Sorry.
property, don't you, mate?
No, I just turned it right down. It shouldn't do it again. Sorry.
There's been this area is evolving all the time. Some people boo-hoo, coins still. However, you've got to ask yourself why institutions globally and regulators globally looking at how they're going to bring in regulation, how they can watch it all. If it's going away, it's not going away. And the biggie is, which I know from the 35 years in the investment field, is when the first ETF comes online, and it looks like it's going to be highly probable with the Chicago board because they can have insurance and everything else in their contracts. That means any money that comes into that, there's only one thing it can do, is buy. Whereas you can open up a futures exchange and you can buy or you can sell. You can drive the price down, you can drive the price up. But if money goes into an ETF, as soon as it hits the ETF, it must buy the coin. And once one ETF is launched, it's only a matter of time before more are launched. So if, as some highly respected analysts on this, and this is not a forecast, not financial advice, but if their predictions, and when this happens, this is probably conservative, if a Bitcoin becomes $65,000 and you started off investing, let's just say the equivalent of 1 Bitcoin, and you might end up with 3 of those, 3 of your Bitcoin could be worth 65,000 each. But even if it doesn't do that, as Michael said, from the pure mining, I think the figure he said is you're looking at producing 5 to 8 times your money in 3 years. So to me, it's some money that you could put away, and you can put it away for all sorts of reasons. I know some of my clients who will be getting on to Michael are thinking about school fees and all that kind of stuff, for kids. Let's stick a bit of money in, put that away, and when time the kids are going to school, I've got the money to pay for it. So anyway, over to you guys if you've got any questions there. Anybody got any questions? I think you're all muted again at the moment. Hey, Jason.
Yeah, mate. I just was there a baseline investment figure you were talking about or wanted to start off at as an indication? Or
That's a really good question, Jason. So the starting figure that I say to everyone, it really varies on personal kind of, ability. The absolute minimum that you can get involved in is $3,600 USD. That will get you a share in all 3 pools. However, you just need to be very realistic with the returns that you're going to make from $3,600 USD. You will make, on average, and we've got historical data to show this over the last 4 years, you will make anywhere from 5 to 8 times your money. Now, $5 grand by 8 times over 3 years is good, but I've had people come in, the average client that I have is usually anywhere from 30 to 50. I just did $2 million for a super fund. It really just comes down to what the average person wants to do. That being said, I have a lot of mum and dad investors that have put in $3,600, and they're just really happy to know that, you know, they invested today and in 3 years they'll have enough to, you know, like Graham shared, pay their school fees for the next 4 years and never have to worry about it again. So it really comes down to what you want to achieve, Jason, and kind of what expectations you have for an investment.
Okay, yep, fantastic.
Yeah, and the cool thing is we've got a brokerage service as well, so I actually own probably one of the top 3 OTC stands for over-the-counter Bitcoin brokerage services in Australia. So if you don't own a cryptocurrency at the moment, we can also exchange your current fiat for cryptocurrency to put into the pool. So it would just be a question of doing the numbers, letting Graham know what kind of money you want to put into something like this.
Yeah.
We can do everything from the brokerage to getting you started.
Okay, all right. Thanks, mate. Fantastic.
Graham, you got any questions, or Kath?
Yeah, I just wanted to get it clear. So if I say put in 3,600 USD, so that will go over 1,000 days. And if I keep it there, and the money that I've made in that 1,000 days can be reinvested, or 50% of that can be reinvested into buying equipment, and then that's reinvested. Is that right?
So think about it like this. You buy a contract today for $3,500. Now, you can buy as many contracts as you want. It's completely up to you. Let's just say you bought one contract. That contract is good for 1,000 days, which means you would buy today, and then 30 days from now, your contract would begin once your infrastructure was set up, and that contract would run 1,000 days. However,
oh, sorry, can we go back to the 30 days? Sorry.
No.
30 days, sorry, that it's reinvested, did you say?
No. Think about it like this. Let's say you buy the contract today.
Yep.
It takes 30 days to set up your hardware, which means we actually have to physically install your mining equipment and put it on the shelves in our facility in Iceland, and people have to configure it and everything else. And then after that 30 days, you will start earning Bitcoin every single day. Now, the contract will commence and you will get paid every 24 hours. However, at the end of that 1,000 days, that original contract will cease. The cool thing is, because you've been reinvesting a small percentage every day, when that contract ends, you actually would have bought more contracts over the 3 years with the money that you were reinvesting. So you will continue to mine Bitcoin once that original contract ends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you want to stick to the original contract, you don't have to put any extra money in to stay in it.
Correct. Well, that will happen automatically if you choose to reinvest strategy.
Yeah, okay.
Does that answer your questions?
It does. It sort of makes
Sorry, did I see Tracy? Are you online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question. So thanks a lot, Jason. I understood everything that you said, I think. But my question is, because I'm brand new to the Bitcoin concept, how does it actually make money? What is it that's making the money?
Ask that question again, sorry.
Okay. So with the Bitcoin, what is it that's actually making the money, or how is the money being made? That's what I don't understand.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Great question. So let me just share my screen again. So how money is made through a mining operation, it works like this. So these computers, right? Let's say I want to send you Bitcoin. Okay, now through traditional means, if I was going to send you money from CommBank to CommBank, I would log onto my app, I would put in the money, then the bank would verify that I have the right amount of money to send you. Your bank would then accept the money. You would then go to withdraw the money, and the bank would then verify again that you had that money in there, and we would then pay a fee to the bank for that service. Does that make sense?
Yep, yep.
Now, why blockchain is kind of revolutionizing the way we're doing, these computers have completely taken the validation process and automated it so we don't need people anymore.
Yep, get that.
Every time a transaction is processed, the mining equipment in the world that was responsible for facilitating that transaction gets paid a reward. Okay, so that's where I was showing you this. This reward was 12.5 Bitcoin. Okay, so
Yeah, I get that, but where does it come from? Like, where does that come from?
where do the Bitcoins come from?
So to me, so what I'm getting a sense of is that reward Bitcoin comes from more people joining the Bitcoin app program.
No. So how Bitcoin works. Right now, as it stands, there is a certain supply of Bitcoin that's in the market that has already been mined, okay?
Yep.
Now, if we look at Bitcoin, the circulating supply is 17 million. The max supply is 21 million. So what that means is there is X amount of millions of coins that are yet to be mined. So why now is so important is every time a miner facilitates the transactions, they are taking some of this uncirculating supply and being rewarded with it. Does that make sense?
Right, yep.
So the money is coming from the mining of Bitcoin. So if we are mining, like I said, 183 BTC and AUD, we are currently making on average about $2 million a day worth of Bitcoin that we can liquidate and either sell for fiat, but we share with our community and we give you your part of the block rewards for having contracts and having infrastructure in our data center.
So basically those machines in Iceland, that's what they make the Bitcoin.
Correct. So those machines, these machines right here, all day are processing transactions. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, but they create the Bitcoin. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. Where does it come from in the first place? These virtual coins,
Okay.
because they're virtual coins. They're virtual trading bits of material.
So it's like the bits in the do you mean like bits in technology, like
So I'm going to make this so simple for you guys, right?
Yeah.
There's 21 million Bitcoins in existence. Okay? There is a circulating supply. These are coins that have been mined that people now own. If you take 21 million and minus 17,100,000, at least X amount of millions, those X amount of millions are yet to be mined. So every time our computers mine the Bitcoin for processing the transactions, we take it out of this supply from circulating supply, which is the reward for doing that. Does that make sense? So in essence, these computers are, yes, making Bitcoin, but they are making the Bitcoin by mining it and being rewarded for processing the transactions. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's a hard concept to put your head around when you don't actually see it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things, right? So you can sit here and go, okay, yeah, it is a hard concept to get your head around. But I'm a multi-millionaire from this. And it has given me the ability, and whether I can see it, touch it, or whatever, I'm telling you right now, my bank account sees it every month, and it's just one of those things where you have to go, okay, is this something that I want to participate in? If it is, good. If the risk to reward ratio for you makes sense, do it. If it doesn't make sense to you, there's lots of things that I've participated in. And the big thing for me was I didn't understand all of this, right? I didn't understand mining. I didn't understand how it worked. What I did understand, there was a huge
totally
opportunity
transparent. I just want
to
my
make
clients
massive
to
amounts of income,
participate in
and all I had to do was
whatever
find the
size they
smart
wanted.
people who did do it
I'll just throw
and
another
leverage their
curve.
brains to
If Michael
be involved.
put up a building
Sure.
in Iceland
Cool. I'll research it a bit more so I
and
can
called it the Federal
understand it.
Reserve,
But no, that's all.
and you
Sounds
saw a
really good.
machine
Awesome.
printing
Well, the
money,
big thing is, just like Graham Mo, if
and
it's
they
something
said,
you want
look, do you want to
participate
participate in this?
I'm
It's
here to
called
help
the
you
US
guys. I'm here to
dollar.
serve you guys. Anything that I can
And
do
it's
to
look, we want
And
you to
do we go
participate, but
through
at the
Graham,
moment
or
we're
do we go
7
through
trillion
you for
dollars in
this?
the hole.
go through Graham.
Do you want to get
me and Graham
involved?
work together.
Okay.
We're very much.
You say you got to be joking. So this is replacing the fact there's
Yeah.
a limited supply. It's real money that's gone in there. It's just like you've got Aussie dollars in your pocket, but this in this instance it's a digital currency. So the world is moving away from those people in the middle that were eating everyone's lunch. Well, not well. I don't know if it'll ever completely take it over, but for a lot of people, it's going to be a much more transparent. And on the line just now was a guy called Dave. I don't know if he's still there, but we went to Burley Heads, and without confusing you about the other things you can do with crypto, I've got a thing called a CoinJar account, which I just set up, and he said to me, "Look, I'm going to
So
transfer
this
you
is
some
eventually going
Bitcoin.
to take over
Watch this."
cash.
And he did it. And within a split second, it was in my account. If you transfers money from a bank here, how many days does it get to anybody's account? So everyone's just accepted that a bank's a bank, and they can rape and pillage, as far as I can see. They're making record profits, and you're getting next to nothing in interest. So, and we're not saying bet the ranch. We're not saying take all your life savings up to the last dollar, borrow on credit cards and stick it in this. But I think everybody should have some, and at whatever level they feel comfortable.
Yeah. 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 So this is sort of yeah.
Sorry, I'll just
So if it gets to the point where a lot of people get it, does the value of it go down? Like
absolutely not. Think about it like this. So if there are 21 million coin existence, right? That would mean that if every single millionaire on the planet wanted to own one Bitcoin, there wouldn't be enough. So supply and demand always drives price action. The simple fact is the Bitcoin economy has been around for 9 years, but we are only starting to see mainstream adoption, but more importantly, more and more people participate in it. So I firmly believe over the next 3 to 5 years, you've got one opportunity to acquire some Bitcoin, whether it be 1 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoins, whatever it is for you. Because at some stage, I firmly believe 1 Bitcoin will be worth in excess of $100,000 USD. My point is this, is let's say you bought 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it looked like, and you just forgot about it over the next 3 years, but you knew that no matter what's going on in all your investment portfolios, you are mining and acquiring every single day a small percentage of Bitcoin that is accumulating over time. And then in 3 to 5 years, Bitcoin does go to $100,000 and you have some, you have to agree that that is a pretty good thing. So we can sit here and we can arm and arm and talk about it forever. Simple fact is Bitcoin started at $1 at some stage 9 years ago, and it reached heights of $20,000 USD. It is now trading at, on average, about $8,000 USD. So over the next 5 years, if all it does is what it did last time, we're on track to be worth more than $100,000. So for me, it is riskier to not have some than it is to have some, because one of two things are going to happen. You're going to get involved and you're going to acquire some, or 5 years from now, you'll look back and go, shit, I could have got involved in that, but I didn't. And for me, it's always the fear of loss that is far greater than, you've got to look at it and go, if this is doing what some of the largest and smartest financial people on the planet are predicting it's going to do, it probably makes sense to participate on some level. So, Graham, I'll hand it back to you. Let me know how I can serve you and your people.
Thank you so much. Anyway, it was a very good...
Thank you so much, Graham and Jason.
Can I just quickly ask you one more question very quickly?
Yes.
Thanks.
Looking ahead, just out of curiosity, what happens when the 21 million coins are in circulation?
Yeah, really good question. So it won't happen in our lifetime, so it's not something to worry about.
Okay. Nice answer. Thank you.
That actually happens at 2,160. So,
okay.
I'll be around.
I'll be around. I won't.
Stress about it.
Doesn't matter. Good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thanks, Graham.
Bye.
Bye.